Shalom and Begorra, my friends. Happy pre-St. Patrick's, or I call it Rabbi Patrick's Day, to all of you from all of me here in the neighborhood. I am Rabbi Sol Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And it is going to be my delight and joy to talk to a cabaret person. Not a person who was in the Broadway musical Cabaret, but someone who actually does cabaret. In fact, he does it, 5 nights a week at the Roxy Hotel in New York City in what they call Tribeca. And I have Tribeca, and she's pretty hot. But no, I'm kidding, I kid. He plays the piano, and he will do the usual songs, but also some really unusual combination of songs from all different genres of music, if you will. This man, he has played at the Rainbow Room. He's played at Elaine's, not the Seinfeld Elaine, but the actual Elaine's where Woody Allen used to twiddle his flute. And he doesn't just play, as we said, Hoagie Carmichael and Shuby Taylor. He will play Hendrix and Rossini and Frank Zappa, all on the piano there. So he co-created, by the way, and co-starred in the off-Broadway hit musical called Song of Singapore. And his motto is, I'm vamping here because we had him, and now we're kind of hoping that he can come on here. Where are you? Where are you, Michael? I see we have 2 participants. So, don't know, he's probably trying to get on. Shalom, Michael. Put on your thing. I don't know where you are. I just look at you. You look at me for the Zoom thing. We've been Zooming for 5 years now. Why is Zoom still? Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Okay, he's got his hand up. I'll ask him to unmute because Michael Garin is going to be joining us. His motto is get shameless or stay fameless. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the famous, shameless Michael Garin, who's figuring out how to get on his camera there on the Zoom thing, on Dave's Gone By with me, Rabbi Sol Solomon. We seem to have briefly lost him. And it's me. And I know it. Please come back and try and get on again. Because there we go. He's in the waiting room. Let's try this. Shalom to you and to all our Irish listeners and viewers. I want to wish you a happy pre-St. Patrick's Day. It's March 16th here in 2024. Please drink responsibly. You know, if you go drink and you drive somewhere and you kill somebody, take responsibility for that. Don't just drive away and do a hit and run. If you must drink, kill, and be responsible about it. What else about the Irish? What else can I tell you? While we're killing time here in the neighborhood.
What's going on? How come I can't get on?
All right, I hear your voice. This is thank God. I hear something. I don't know why. Can you open your camera or something?
I'm trying.
Oh, now we lost the voice. I did. Oh, I should do an Irish tune. Oh, when Jewish eyes are smiling, they're not actually happy. Although they've got their mouth and a smile, things are generally crappy. All right, what's another Irish song? Yeah, in Cedarhurst on an autumn day, I bought a bagel with a schmear. I went to shoot. Hello! Oh my God! Thank God. All right, now wait. Now we just need you to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, and
You can see me.
Unfortunately, we're out of time for the interview. No, I'm kidding. Welcome to the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. A cabaret performer, a man who has been in residency at the Roxy Hotel, where you can go see him Tuesdays through Saturdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the evenings. He's Michael Garin, and we welcome him with delight to the neighborhood. Shalom, Michael, how are you?
Fine. How are you? Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom to you too. Now, I was a little surprised. Maybe I shouldn't be, but you are one of the tribe because I've seen you posted Shabbat shalom things. So what was your Jewish upbringing and how Jewish are you now?
100%. My parents were refugees from Europe and went to pre-state Israel before moving to the States. So, as the song says, I've been everywhere.
He's been everywhere, man. He's been everywhere. That's right. So he had. But this is wonderful. That do your parents, did they tell you stories of what Israel? We're not going to call it fucking Palestine. It's Israel. What Israel was before it was called Israel.
Yeah, it was. They both got out by the skin of their teeth, and they worked. My mom was on a kibbutz in 1936. My father. They both worked for the British Army in various capacities, and my mom hadn't seen her parents since they left Braunschweig, Germany. So when she saw them after the war, they really couldn't take another separation. And so she sent for my dad, whose both parents were dead. And so we came here. So I grew up hearing Yiddish, German, and Hebrew in the house all the time.
So, but were you born here or were you born in?
I was born here in the States.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of. I was just texting with a cousin of mine in Tel Aviv last night, and I have cousins in Herzliya, Tel Aviv, Kfar Saba, all over the place. Friends and family. I'm 100% with Israel,
Yes.
and I'm 100% member of the tribe. And
yes. Can we see your circumcision scar? Because these days, you can't be too careful.
You can, but it has to be scratch and sniff.
Now you would get only Mardie Millit can do that. And that's a little joke. By the way, when I said she is a cabaret performer who is, how long have you guys been,
We've been together for 20 years, and we've been married for 11. And Mardie was just nominated for a MAC Award for her outstanding Sondheim tribute. She was a pen pal with Sondheim from when she was 13 in Ohio until the rest of his life. So we're doing it again on May 15th at the Laurie Beachman Theater. That's May 15th. That's a Wednesday, 7 p.m., Laurie Beachman Theater in New York.
Are you accompanying her? Are you on the piano?
Yes, I am.
Oh. Yeah. Oh my God, May 15th, please remind me, but we'll remind everybody, May 15th. I mean, is she going to be, she can come on with you?
She's otherwise engaged right now.
Okay, that's just
you just got me. It's a solo show.
So hey, you are more than enough, Michael Garin, particularly because you are strongly Zionistic Jewish. God bless you for that. But we have much more to talk about than that. We also want to talk about this idea of, we have this idea of pianists and cocktail lounges and cabarets. It's like, here's, you remember this one from Al Jolson, and here's something from Hoagie Carmichael, and here's a new song from Billy Joel, and it's basically that. You, however, push the envelope, if you will.
Yeah.
How did you start doing that? Tell us about this.
Well, what happened was I was hired by the Roxy through the good auspices of my friend Brian Newman, who is better known as Lady Gaga's band leader when she does the Great American Songbook. And when I started working there, they said, we want you there every day. We want you from 6 to 8. And it's after work. It's people are coming out of school or work. You don't need to sing because people are there to talk. I went, that's fine. And, I used to play piano at a place called Limelight, which was a disco on 6th Avenue and 20th Street. They had what's called...
Limelight? Wait. The Limelight, I thought it was like a punky sort of gothic club.
Yeah. Well, they had a VIP room with a piano. And I used to work there in the 80s from midnight to 4. And on my breaks, and I mean, it was a pretty wild place. I mean, I got to meet and hang out with Frank Zappa and Kool and the Gang and a bunch of other interesting folks. And on my breaks, I would go out of the VIP room, and there was a catwalk way high above the dance floor. And I would watch the way the DJ would manipulate the room, and I went, this is show business. I'm going to steal some of this stuff. And I incorporated the way a DJ would manipulate the crowd, bring it up and then bring it down and then bring it back up again. And I said, musically, this is a very interesting thing that they're doing. And I'm going to apply it to what I do live at the piano. So I did that. And when I got the job at the Roxy, I went, I am essentially, since I'm not singing and I'm a good singer, I mean, but that's not what they need at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. If I were there from 8 to 10, that would be a different story. So from 6 to 8, people are gathering, they want to talk and they want to, meet up and they have stuff to talk about. And what I try to do is I try to create unusual music of a high quality that includes things like that are familiar. So I'll play a Sinatra or I'll play the Temptations or I'll play David Bowie and they'll kind of dig that, but they'll also it's all about the beat, so if I have a good beat going, it doesn't matter so much what song it is, as long as they can continue being there for what they want to be there for example, one time one of the managers was with a client and I introduced myself and she goes, I apologize. I was talking during your performance. I said, you were not talking during my performance. I was underscoring your conversation.
It's different.
So
It's a different idea.
different. It's right. Different. So
but
I look around.
The beat is the thing. It's sort of like you're still even so, because you're not just light music-y background. For people
No, I watch the room like a hawk. And if I hear somebody speaking in Spanish, I'll play a Spanish song. If I see some, because what's interesting about the Roxy and what's unusual from other places I played, it's just families. So we have kids. So somebody will come in there with a little baby that's crying, and I'll play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and the kid will be quiet. So you have to be aware of all of that. If a waiter comes by with a cupcake and a candle in it, I'm going to play Happy Birthday. I'm going to watch the room. And it's more like being a chaperone and a DJ and try to keep everybody engaged. And,
can I ask you use a fake book, or is everything just, you know it and you know the chords, so you can kind of.
It's all in my head.
Yeah, wow.
All in my head. Yeah.
Do you keep up, though, with music of the past 20 to 30 years? Or, because when we think of, even Frank Zappa is not considered any, he's 30, 40, 50 years ago from what you're playing. So do you follow? Yeah. So for example,
it's not yesterday's songs, but there's a lot of hip hop music that I really like. So I'll include like Lisa, Cult Jam. That's from the 80s.
That's 40 years ago. Yeah.
Busta Rhymes is from the 90s, I think. Shaggy is 10, 20 years ago. So the most immediate songs are not necessarily what the crowd is there for.
That's right.
But I'll throw in, I'll throw in stuff that I think somebody in their 30s or 40s will have been the music that they first, the pop music that they became aware of.
At that point, it would have been Nirvana. It would have been, if they're in the 30s and 40s, it would have been the era of grunge and might have been.
So I'll play like Human League and some 80s stuff. And what's interesting is what the other music that I'm very, very fond of is South American and North African music from like the 70s and 80s. So, and even earlier, because of YouTube, YouTube has changed everything for musicians, because you now have what you used to go to a record store and look around for stuff. You just have it on a.
You can try anything. Yeah.
You try anything. So I've become very, very into tangos from like the 1930s. They're really. Yep, I play a lot of Carlos Gardel, and I play a lot of. I used to play in a Middle Eastern nightclub, an Israeli nightclub called the Cafe Finjan in the Village, and it's now either the Comedy Cellar or the Cafe Wa, depending on where it was located at the time. So a lot of there was a wonderful drummer named Ali Hafid who played the dumbek, which is a little clay drum that they use in that music. And I was sitting next to him, and you know, I was kind of new to that world, and he'd do a lot of stuff from Morocco. And I said, Ali, I'm not getting the beat. And he looked at me and he goes, Afro-Cuban. I said, I got it. And I went, hmm. So all of the stuff from North Africa, like Algeria and Morocco and all that stuff, it's pretty much prehistoric calypso. You know, it's got that boom, ba bum, boom, bum, 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 bum. That's it. You know, so it's got that beat. It's really cool beat. So I'll mix hip hop, North African tangos from the '30s, show tunes.
Of
You
course.
know,
Come on, you got it. Of course, of
you
course.
got to.
But let me,
You know,
but also the thing is, you're not a company. There's no bass. There's no drum. It's just you at the piano. I remember I was watching one where you mixed a Henrik song from Axis Bold as Love with something else, and it just flowed so beautiful. It was this beautiful
yeah.
ballad
It was the sextet from Lucia di Lammermoor and One Rainy Wish.
from yes from Jimi Hendrix. It's like yes, why not? Yes, it
Yeah.
worked. That's the. Have you ever done a segue that you mash up and it was like, oh, I thought it was going to work, but.
Um, there's ones that I keep trying, you know. There's that I don't know whether I mean I enjoy it. It does no harm, but
Right.
it
You
doesn't
can
get
always
the
stop
pop that
and
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's thick as a brick and a song from South Pacific.
Oh, I get dum. I'm gonna watch that man right out of my hair.
No,
No,
it was
no.
is a booba doo boom booba doo. Really don't mind if I sit this one out the door.
Yeah.
I'm as corny as Kansas in August, high as a kite on the
Oh,
4th of
yeah. Try
July.
mine. Try now. Now I think about it. Try the other one. Try the different South Pacific song with, and I think you'll hit it.
I'll watch
Because
that
as
man.
opposed
I'll
to
give
that,
it a shot.
yeah, give it a rest because watch that man right out of my hair. It follows that same rhythmic pattern. I'll bet it works. And if it doesn't, you know, you lose my phone number. But anyway, so here's other things. I can't not ask now. What did you see in that 12 to 4 a.m. slot and other times when you were at the limelight? Because that always seems like such a like Studio 54, but with 80s, 90s weirdness. So
Yeah.
what's the craziest things that happened there that you saw?
Well, I can tell you that when I started there, I'll tell you the my first night that was kind of humbling. Uh, the assistant manager, Louis Canizaro, who's now a very significant artist living in Los Angeles. He's got a great career going. Uh, let me know. He says, "Look, it's your first night. I'll meet you downstairs." I said, "Because I'm not cool enough to get in there on my own." He goes, "You are exactly correct." So he met me downstairs, and we went the back, not through the crowd waiting to get in with the guy with the clipboard and all that stuff. He took me up back, and before we went upstairs, he said, "By the way, Zappa's in the room." I went, "It's my first night here, and I got to play for Frank Zappa." And he goes, "Yeah." And let's go. So we get up there, and they said, "Mr. Zappa, this is Frank. This is Michael Garin. He's our new pianist." I said, "Hi, how you doing? What do you want to hear?" He goes, "What do you play?" I said, "Anything that keeps me employed." He goes, "So play me some employment music." And he was the sweetest guy, never touched a drug or drank booze, nothing. Just his only drug abuse was Marlboros.
Yeah, he loves cigarettes, and he screwed around a lot on Gale. But other than that, but he didn't do the other
Yeah.
vices.
And it was a lot of so it was like 1986. So it was the place to be midnight to 4. It's weird. I had two back-to-back jobs in the 80s, in the middle 80s, in the 86. One was pianist at the VIP room in Limelight, and the other was musical director at the cabaret at the Williamstown Theater Festival on the campus of Williams College. So
Wow.
that don't get weirder than that, because and the one, here's Kool and the Gang, and James Chance, and
And then over at
Grace
Williamstown, you're
and
playing.
Grace Jones. It's like all of a sudden everybody's wearing lime green pants and drinking gin. It's like, geez, okay. So and that was wild.
So
The
wait, at Williamstown, were you the rehearsal pianist, or you played with
No,
the
I
orchestra?
was I was a musical director for what they call the late night cabarets, and what they would do is they'd have an early show that I was involved with as well, but they would have, for the equity actors after their play come down, like they would do Summer and Smoke, or Streetcar Named Desire, or one of those things, and afterwards everybody would get up and sing, and that's where I introduced I've Been Everywhere to James Naughton, and that's where you know. Uh, I tried to get, and I'd have to go up to these actors who I'd been admiring all my life and say, "Hey, want to sing in the late night show? Here's a song you might like." And I got to work with people like, the late, God bless her soul, Anne Reinking, and Blythe Danner, whose daughter Gwyneth Paltrow is now more famous than she is,
Yeah.
and Austin Pendleton and Elaine Stritch. I'm the only guy in the world, I think, that has ASAP Rocky and Elaine Stritch on their resume. So if
What
anybody else
song did
there,
Elaine Stritch do that you accompanied her with?
uh, we did Broadway Baby, and he amazes me. And that was an interesting thing, because at Williamstown, the rehearsal room for the cabaret looks out on this little quad by the theaters. And I'd never met Elaine Stritch. I'd always, really liked her work. And they said, she's doing a one-person Dorothy Parker show at the Clark Art Museum, and she wants to be in the cabaret. Go meet with her. I said, all right, fine, send her by. So she comes by with her hairs are all in pin curls. She's smoking Kent cigarettes and all that. And she goes, I didn't bring any music. I went, I can't read. We're cool. She goes, Broadway Baby? I said, kind of. So I sort of stumbled through, and she goes, no, God damn it, it goes like this. And then she starts hitting the top of the piano.
Oh.
And the more she yells at me in this glass enclosed room, the more the actors and staff of the theater are starting to gather around the glass room, because it's like a fight in the middle school lunchroom, and say, hey, look, Elaine Stritch is yelling at Michael. Let's go look. So everybody's gathering around and pressing their noses against the glass. And this lady's giving me holy hell. And no, God damn it, it goes like this. And I finally looked her in the eye and said, now, wait a minute. How much you getting paid to do this? She goes, nothing. I said, me too. Calm down. Then she looks at me and she goes, I like you. I said, I got a different problem now, don't I? But she was great. She was great. So we did those two songs. And, uh, Blythe Danner, who's a wonderful jazz singer. People don't know that about her.
No idea. Ha.
She stuck her head in the door one time when I was rehearsing. She goes, you play jazz? I went, yeah. She goes, none of the boys here play jazz. I said, you want to be in the cabaret? She goes, yeah. Before my acting thing took off, I used to do an act where I would sing jazz with just a bass player. I said, it just so happens I invited the bass player from Song of Singapore, the great late Earl May, who used to play with Dizzy Gillespie and Coltrane. He's going to come up. Why don't you two do a number? She goes, that would be great. So I had Elaine Stritch as the opening number, and then Blythe Danner came out with Earl May, and a friend of mine rehearsed them in the kitchen the night of the cabaret, and she goes, do you know Falling in Love with Love? He goes, yeah. She goes, E flat? He goes, yeah. So they go into the kitchen. Now, Earl May is one of the most significant bass players in the last 50 years. Blythe Danner is one of the most significant actresses of the last 50 years. They never heard of each other. So my friend Eric Franson came out.
Also from
He
Song
was
of Singapore. Yeah.
also from Song of Singapore. And he came back and he was laughing. I said, how does it sound? He goes, it sounds great, but they don't know who each other, they don't know one from the other. I said, the great Blythe Danner doesn't know who the great Earl May is. He was, yeah. I said, my work here is done. This is great. This is fantastic. So they had, and then Austin Pendleton came out, and then Jim Naughton came out, and then, back then, this was in '93. It's my second tour at Williamstown. There was a young kid in the, of the apprentices, and this kid just stuck out like a sore thumb. I said, holy shit, who is this guy? His name's Christopher Fitzgerald. Now he's starring on Broadway in Spamalot. And
yeah, and I remember seeing him in the Irish. Appropriate enough, he was in the Irish thing, Finian's Rainbow on Broadway a few years back.
Yeah. Oh, he's fantastic. I mean, he just came out, and I needed stuff for the apprentices to do. So I said, "You guys like rap?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You ever heard of Gilbert and Sullivan?" I went, "No." And I said, "Okay, we're rapping patter songs." And so we did a whole hip hop thing of my Major General and Three Little Maids from School Are We and all that. So we had it was a lot of fun. And so then that's kind of far away from limelight. But the one thing I remember is in all the craziness, the moment of calm, civility, and civilized behavior was always when Kool and the Gang showed up. They were dressed to the nines. They behaved beautifully. They were the sweetest guys you'd ever want to meet or talk to. It was like oxygen came into the room, because all these guys were like, all these crazy guys were acting like lunatics and assholes. And here comes, it looks like Gentlemen's Quarterly.
Cool with a K. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they were like, everybody relax. Nice. Behave. I just went, those guys.
Let me ask you then, who's the opposite? Whom did you witness, whether it's at Limelight or anywhere else, that we don't know who's like, oh, shame on you, or they were, out of control, intentionally or otherwise?
There were a couple of Hollywood guys that I thought behaved poorly. I don't want to. You know what? They were going through stuff, and I don't want to denigrate them, or there are times in your life when you behave poorly, and I don't, but.
Well, are they alive or dead? Because if they're dead, you should spill the beans. If they're alive, I can understand. Maybe you don't.
They're alive. Yes. I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, they didn't do anything bad. They were just loud and obnoxious and boorish. It's
Hey, I'm loud, obnoxious, and boorish. So yeah, and I get by. So there you go.
Yeah, that's right. See,
See, I don't mind talking ill of the dead, but I can understand sometimes you don't want to. Yeah, and they can do, as you said, they can do anything so horrible or terrible. By the way, speaking of horrible and terrible, you being a cabaret pianist. No, I don't. I mean it in this way, that you had to somehow do what you do for a year and a half when all of New York was closed down with a horrible, terrible pandemic. And you did live streams and stuff, but how did you, and your wife is also a cabaret person, what did you do?
Well, what happened was when the pandemic hit, the company that owns the Roxy Hotel is one of the most forward-thinking, enlightened, and intelligent organizations I've ever worked for. I can't say enough about them as a place that gives responsibility to their employees and treats them better than they ever had to. I mean, it's astonishing. And they said, look, we have to shut the hotel down. Do you have a piano in your apartment? I said, yes, I do. They said, broadcast on our Instagram page and we'll keep you on salary as long as we can. Right? I went, damn, you bet. So I did that. They did the best they could. When the money ran out, they said, hey, we ran out of dough. I said, are you kidding? You guys are fantastic. So we started broadcasting on their Instagram page from our apartment. When that ended, we did it on our Facebook pages. And I still do Wednesday and Friday on my Facebook page from 6 to 7, because, there's a lot of people I know who aren't in New York, who want to hear that kind of music, who want to request things. And, do I get tips? Yeah, maybe $10, $20. It's not the point. They make their dinner, they're driving home, they put on the music, they're having a good time. And to me, it's a public service, and I enjoy doing it. So every Wednesday and
Maybe
Friday
people
on
who are
my
going to
Facebook page.
maybe people who were going to cabaret in the 1970s, 80s, 90s. Now they're in their 70s, 80s, 90s. Can't. Maybe they're in New York, but they just can't go. They're not going to.
Right, right.
They can be at home, watch you on Facebook, and hear. Oh yeah, but you sing in those. I think you also, or do you just play?
I used to. When I do it from when I do it from the Roxy, I don't. I'll talk to the camera and maybe sing a little bit. But like I said, the Roxy is and it really it's improved my instrumental chops pretty substantially because it's all I got. You know, and what I've the other thing I've noticed is the way I divide up the piano keyboard. People do florid things with their right hand to impress people, but the left.
I do that in the shower, but yes,
Okay.
yes.
But the left hand is really what separates the men from the boys piano-wise, because that if you divide your hands, your left hand is your bass and your drums. That's your rhythm section. The right hand is like the lead instrument, like the guitar. So in the right hand, I've got Eric Clapton, but in the left hand, I've got Charlie Watts. All right.
Right. Yes.
To put it in recognizable.
Well, that's a poor choice because that means your left hand is dead. But
Yeah.
Ringo, your left hand is Ringo,
Ringo
is
right.
Hendrix, let's say, or yeah.
So what I always say is my right hand gets me laid, but my left hand gets me paid. So
there you go. I love it. You're shameless and fameless right there. Speaking of comedy, speaking of humor, is it true that you and your lovely wife, Mardie Millit, bonded over musician jokes? Was that the deal?
When we first met at Jim Caruso's cast party at Birdland, we started telling each other musician jokes. For example, would you like to hear one?
Yes! It's almost Purim, yes.
Okay, how do you get a guitar player to turn down his volume?
How?
Put a piece of sheet music in front of him. What do you call a drummer in a three-piece suit?
Defendant.
The defendant. What does a stripper do to her asshole before she goes to work? Drops him off at band practice.
It's just going to get there. But okay, yes. More. What
do you get when you drop a piano down a mine shaft?
I don't know.
A flat minor. What's the difference between a frog driving a car and a trombone player driving a car?
I don't know.
The frog is probably on his way to a job.
I don't know why I find that one funnier than the one more. I love these. Or wait, save one more for the last, our last one when we finish the conversation. We go out on a joke. But I think it's wonderful that this is how you met your wife at Jim Caruso's cast party every Monday night at Birdland, and you have bonded over that. So I think that's pretty fantastic. So. Can I ask you? You did go the cabaret, the playing route, this route, even though you had success off Broadway. You were involved and co-wrote and appeared in an off-Broadway hit. You mentioned it before, Song of Singapore, which basically gave the world Donna Murphy. That was where she sprang from. So was there a point when you were thinking, oh, I'm going to be a Broadway composer. I'm going to be, doing that for my career?
What I came to New York originally to be a song and dance man and an actor. And I realized pretty quickly that career path requires a financial underpinning that I did not have. And that in order to survive as a performer in New York, I needed to work regularly and consistently. So I found that the piano was a more remunerative path. And I said, oh, it's performing. I don't really care. As long as I'm performing, I'm cool. And I realized that, the idea of doing off-Broadway for $250 a week, I wish I could, but I can't. The numbers just aren't there.
Right, because maybe if you're in a hit, it goes for 9 months or 16 months or so. But still,
and then what?
The show closes.
Right. And with the piano, I mean, I did 12 years at the Monkey Bar. I'm in my 7th year at the Roxy, so I needed the consistent gig. I mean, as I like to say, my parents had enough money to get me here, but not keep me here. So I had to, and there's so many moving parts. You could be perfect for a role, but if the person who's opposite you is an inch taller, you're not going to get the part. And that's fine. I mean, so what I found was that I started songwriting, and I realized that I could write music for the theater, but not necessarily have to be there every night. So I worked a lot in the '90s with a group called the Adobe Theater Company,
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
and and we had a great time. And I was working at the Monkey Bar, so I was making really good money. And then I was writing music for off Broadway, and that was fun, but I didn't have to rely on it for a living. And then I got cast as the host of these midnight burlesque shows. So I was doing a song and dance man thing, which is great, but I was doing it in the style that I really love, which was like, underground theater, off Broadway, really cool stuff with this, beautiful old burlesque style show with, striptease and comedy and all kinds of great stuff. And we ended up getting photographed by Ellen von Unworth and ended up in Italian Men's Vogue. So I'm like a supermodel now, right? So that
Yeah.
was great. I pretty much had show business locked and loaded on in the '90s because I was doing the song and dance man thing and hosting these burlesque shows. I was writing for this off Broadway company and having a great time, and I was making
Good money.
substantial amounts of money at the Monkey Bar. So that was fine. And then, uh, when 9/11 hit, it was like the shutdown. Everything kind of fell apart, and it came back slowly. And now things are kind of getting back to where they were. And we'll see what happens. I supposedly am going to be on the new ASAP Rocky release, so that will be,
That's
you know,
great. That's oh my God. But also this fact you're talking about crawling back from 9/11 that New York had to do. Also, theater and cabaret are crawling back from, as we talked about, the pandemic. So how has it been? Because everybody's complaining that all the institutional theaters they've lost half their audience. They can't make money. The New York theaters they cut their stuff back because the funding was cut back. How do you feel New York theater and certainly cabaret is doing now?
I think it is coming around to where, particularly the institutional theaters, probably overstaffed. You know what? I've been working on a musical for the last 6 or 7 years, an adaptation of Ed Sorel's book, Mary Astor's Purple Diary, which is a great book. If you're looking for a perfect summer read at the beach, Ed Sorel's Mary
Mary,
Mary Astor's Purple Diary. It's the story of the actress Mary Astor, who was not a real Astor, you know, and she was, she was the bad guy in Maltese Falcon. Spoiler alert. And but she had an ex-husband and a custody battle over her daughter, and the ex-husband allegedly found her diary, which included allegedly all of her side boyfriends in order of excellence, and I don't mean the way they dressed. And number one with a bullet, shall we say, was the playwright George S. Kaufman, who was, this is like finding out Neil Simon did porn.
he
So
did. I watched it. He
I,
was like a little hedgehog rooting around. It didn't really,
right.
yeah.
So Ed saw me in a bar. He said, "You ever thought about writing a musical?" I said, "It's kind of what I do. What do you got?" And
Ooh.
he didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was. But the book is fantastic, and we now have a script written by my wife Mardie Millit. She did a fantastic job. We went through like 2 or 3 script writers who all got it wrong, and she's sitting there going, "It's going to be me." And it was. And we have a score, and we have a director, and we have a leading lady, and we have.
Oh, who's the leading lady?
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about naming names because it's not on paper yet. But we have, it's a terrific musical. I think kind of right for the moment. It's the art world is slow to pivot, you know, and there is a new reality. There's a high tech reality. There's an audience reality. Look at what's selling out on Broadway right now, and look what isn't. And Juliet is selling out. Hamilton is selling out. Lion King is selling out.
Yeah.
Chicago is selling out.
Chicago's selling out again. Yeah.
Days of Wine and Roses is closing.
Right.
Spamalot is closing.
So I don't get though what you mean by. I mean, Spamalot should kind of be a
Spamalot,
yeah,
right? But it's yesterday's news. It's not the first time. I mean, people have pretty much seen all those jokes.
right.
The other shows are, and what was the other one? Six. The thing about him, yeah. The audience for Cherry Orchard and Death of a Salesman has moved on, both physically and in many ways.
Wait, didn't Enemy of the People sell out this week?
Yeah, it did.
I mean, it's a new version, but that's an old play.
It's an old play, but when was the last time anybody saw it?
Well, actually, it was not that. Maybe 15 years ago they did one on, but okay, yeah.
But they have a TV star.
Well, sure. But we're going to see if Doubt still holds up because they didn't have this TV star that they wanted, so they got Amy Ryan and then so Doubt is old-ish. We'll see how that does.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that it's a fickle and unpredictable thing, but the people know what they want to see.
Right.
They really know what they want to see, and you can't get them to see something they don't want to see.
Not like $180 a ticket, you can't.
Yeah, I got to tell you, and I'm not gonna drag anybody else's name into this, but there seems to be, just between you and me, don't tell anyone. It's just us.
No, nobody's watching this.
Good. Okay. There seems to be an unwillingness for certain musical theater composers to write a song you can remember after you've heard it. You know what I mean?
I wonder what composers you're thinking about.
You go ahead and wander all you want.
Well, one of them whose show you just mentioned is closing. But maybe not. Maybe no.
But the bottom line is, when we used to go, when my family used to pack into the station wagon and go to the National Theater in Washington, D.C. to see whatever it was, we tried on the way home to sing the songs from the show we just saw. It was that's how we knew whether we liked the show. So we saw Fiddler on the Roof before it went to Broadway, and we went, oh, that was really cool. And we saw a lot of other shows that we try to remember how it goes. And hey, what was that song that guy sang? And there seems to be a conscious effort to not write those kind of songs. And I don't, pardon me, get it.
I'm not sure that is quite true, because I think it's also the fact that you need inspiration and genius. So there are composers who try and write, but they're generic-ish. They're trying. It's not like they're trying to be through composed and or just all recitative. They're trying to do. But look, you can only remember
it costs a couple of $100. If you throw in babysitters, you're talking about $1,000 in dinner, right? So for that amount of money, I want to give the people what they want, not what I want.
Yeah, but it's not as if you come out of Hamilton knowing more than one or two tunes.
No, but it's
hugely popular.
It's the experience and the excitement and the beat. That's you know what I mean? Danny Meyer's the most successful restaurant guy in the city, arguably the most successful restaurant guy on the planet. I mean, did he think Shake Shack was going to be what it was? No. Shake Shack was a favor he did to the city of New York. They said, we're opening up, we want you to open up a little something in Madison Square Park, like a hamburger and milkshake place. And he invented Shake Shack. And there was a line around the block the day it opened, and now it's $1 billion international phenomenon.
Yeah.
Danny Meyer says, I'm not in the food business. I'm not in the drink business. I'm in the experience business.
Give the people what they
want. Figure out what they want and give it to them. Hank Williams said, I want to write a song that sounds like you heard it before.
Wow.
Me too.
Yeah. Well,
people said, I can't. I said, your songs for this new show, they're so simple. I can't get them out of my head. I said, good. And
Yeah.
if you go to maryastormusical.com,
Oh, you
you can
have a
hear all the
website.
songs.
MaryAstorMusical.
Yeah, .com.
Because
Yeah.
I was going to send them to MiChaelGarin.com, which they can also go MiChaelGarin,
Yeah.
MichaelGarin.com for all the stuff
.com.
about you, but MaryAstorMusical.com for specifically that.
Yeah,
music.
and you can hear all the songs, and you can see of some of Ed's wonder. Ed Sorel was a illustrator before. That's what he did, and then he wrote a book. So anyway,
So here's the deal. We also want to send people to the Roxy Hotel in New
yes.
York, Tuesdays through Saturdays from 6 o'clock in the evening till 8 o'clock in the evening every week. He's the resident pianist there for 7 years. Michael Garin is. We also want to send them to, what was it? Don't Tell Mama on May.
No, the Laurie Beachman Theater.
Sorry, Lord Beachman. Sorry, the Beachman.
Laurie Beachman Theater, which is in the basement of the West Bank Cafe on 42nd and 9th. May 15th, 7 o'clock, Mardie Millit, Sorry Grateful.
Very grateful. Of course, the Stephen Sondheim tribute song, my payas are going all over the place. So
Yeah.
it looks like you're talking with Mardie there. So we want to let you out of the neighborhood, but you promised us that you have one more musician joke that we can go out on with Michael Garin here. You can tell it to Mardie, or you can tell it to us, or both.
What do you do when a drummer appears on your front porch?
I give up.
Pay him for the pizza and send him home.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Michael Garin. What's your Hebrew name? What's it, Michael?
Michael ben Baruch.
Michael. Oh, you have that perfect.
No, Michael ben Reuven. Slicha.
Oh, you forgot your own father's name? What? Was it
He
Reuven?
was Reuven ben Baruch, so I get the two mixed up.
Well, anyway, Michael, it has been absolutely wonderful. We wish you much success with both the Mary Astor musical and your continuing tinkling of the ivories at the Roxy Hotel. Please stay in touch. Please keep us posting about the musical and everything you're doing. And shalom to you. Happy almost Purim. And have a great one. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.